Okay, hello everyone. This is going to be the review slash highlight of the CS-63. I'm going to keep it relatively short here. Hopefully we'll get a video in just about 10 minutes and it won't take up too much of your time. Anyway, let's get through this nice and quick. We'll start here by looking at the crew. You can see we have Brothers in Arms on everybody. I'm running Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, and Recon on the Commander because V-Range, at least in my opinion, is very helpful, particularly when you're trying to mark a vehicle. I'm also running Deadeye, I think Snapshot and Repairs on my gunner. I want to make this gun as good as possible, which is why I'm also using purple equipment, but we'll get to that in a second. You can see on the driver, I have Brothers in Arms, Smooth Ride, I think Clutch Braking. Let me check this just for sure. I want to say Off-Road Driving, my apologies. So Brothers in Arms, Smooth Ride, Off-Road Driving, and Repairs. And on the loader, I have the typical Brothers in Arms, Safe Stowage, Camo, and Repairs. Repairs on this is helpful if you get tracked or whatever it may be, because this thing is so mobile, you're probably going to get yourself into trouble more often than not. Anyway, a pretty typical kind of brawly medium loadout. We also, equipment-wise, are running vents, vertical stabilizer, and gun rammer. This is what I would personally recommend even if you weren't using improved or bounty equipment. However, I love this vehicle, and we'll get to that in a minute. And this is what I use. You can see my ammo. I'm carrying 25 AP, 22 APCR, and 3 HE. Right here, which is one of the best things about patch 1.10 in my opinion, is it gives you the sort of shell velocity here right in game, which is cool. You can see the alpha is 390 across the board for AP and APCR, 258 base pen, which isn't unbelievable, but it's not bad by any means. 1241 base velocity, which for AP is really comfy. And then on APCR, you have 1410, which is not terrible. It's not unbelievable, but it's nice. I enjoy it. It feels good to use. You could also see we have 510 HE along with 53 pen, which is really nice. You'll see in the gameplay coming up in a minute, the HE just feels so good when you have the opportunity to use it. I rolled a couple times for well over 500. You can see I'm using a small consumable for repairs and first aid kit. I'm also running food. However, here's the thing I've started doing a lot more lately. I have a lot of bonds, and they made bonds easier for people who play a lot of tier 10, and full disclosure, I play a lot of tier 10, so I don't mind using the directive, even if I'm paying for it every game. You can see I have it on 28 vehicles. I use it a lot. But this gets the reload down to 6.19 with the current build that I have for 390 alpha, which roughly translates to nearly 3800 DPM. I love the gun on this vehicle. It is the saving grace. It feels just so comfortable. It's very, very, what's the word? Kind of brawly, I suppose, if that makes sense. You can really stick into a fight and surprise people with your reload. Now, will that change in the future as more people see and fight this tank? Absolutely. However, will it change much? I don't know. You have a 1.99 second aiming time. You'll see the 3.3 here, and I'll tell you what that means in a second if you're unaware. 0.31 dispersion, which is really nice. 8 degrees of gun depression. Overall, this tank has no real armor, but the depression and mobility really save it. As far as the mobility, though, you'll see the 3-second aim time here. The way this vehicle works is it gets a speed mode the same way that the EBR gets a speed mode, right? And what that translates to is kind of what the EBRs should be, in my opinion. If you want to go fast, your gun turns to shit, if I may be so blunt about it, I suppose. You also lose concealment here. You can see when you're in turbo mode, you lose like 4 or 5 concealment here. It's really rough. One of the worst things about it, though, is the gun handling. I cannot possibly convey to you and have you truly understand how bad the gun handling is when you're in speed mode. I'm going to say this and I'm going to be very clear about it. It is as bad, if not worse, than an FV 4005 on the move. It is terrible. Now, that doesn't mean the speed mode is bad. It will get you out of trouble a lot, and it will get you to an aggressive position very, very easily. This thing really shifts in rapid mode. But you can see we have 2000 HP. It's enough of that. We have a pretty okay amount of hull armor. You will get some weird bounces, the same way the Batchat or Leopard gets bounces. If somebody hits a round right here, it'll be an auto ricochet. If they hit, you know, some weird angle like here, it'll ricochet off. You know what I mean? Um, so it's not something to be relied on, but you will bounce more than you might realize. I think bounced a Jagdpanzer once and an FV215B 183 once as well in the last like 2 days. It's pretty crazy. As far as the mobility, really quick, we'll cover that. Excuse me. You'll see, you know, just the general statistics here. 55 top in regular mode, which is really comfortable, and in speed you'll hit 70, and I find you hit that really, really kind of easily. It takes 2 seconds to switch engine modes. It's sort of the shift you get in an EBR from sort of mobility mode to, I suppose, control mode or slow mode. Um, with the mechanical switch of the STRV 103B, right? Where it takes 2 seconds and your vehicle cannot move. The Sturv, you know, if you want to go to siege mode, you have to sit there and do the transition. This is the same way. You can't be driving and switch. You'll have to come to a stop. I mean, if you hit, I think it's X as well on this, your vehicle will just stop moving and it'll start switching over. But anyway, you can see here I also have 460 V range. Pretty comfy. Not too upset about it. You could switch out vents for optics if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think the gun is just so good in this vehicle. I think that'll cover the garage thing. This is already taking more time than the actual gameplay, but I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay coming up. It's really, really good. For me, at least. It's like 8 kills and almost 9,000 damage. Anyway, I'll see you guys over there. Thanks. Okay, time for the gameplay. Let me show you guys why this is one of my favorite vehicles that this game has to offer at this point. And we'll kind of walk you through an amazing game that I had on stream just a day before I'm recording this. So you can see here, we are top tier. We are dealing with some tier 9s, a lot of artillery, which is less than ideal. One of the biggest problems with this tank, and fine, I will admit it has a problem, comes down to the size of the engine deck. You can see here, it's very, very large and very, very flat. It's super pennable by Artie, particularly Artie like the CGC, the M55, the T92, and all that kind of stuff will really give you a bad time. Anyway, let's look at this now. So we are going to push the hill. One of the benefits of this tank is you have the speed. Within the rapid mode, it really gives you a little bit of freedom as far as options for where you can go at the start of the game. You'll see we're just going to push right through here. Right at this point, I notice, okay, I have a lot of teammates. I'm going to try and be aggressive here. And I screw up because I'm reading chat and trying to drive. But anyway, you'll see I get right up in here. I prep for a shot just to hold this angle. I tend to find this is a relatively safe area. Let me also switch the team boards here. This is a pretty normal angle that I tend to go for. I always look for that track. I decide, okay, one tank got up without getting lit. I'm going to push, fire around, wait for the TVP, because the TVP still has 3 rounds that I know. And I decide, alright, he's back enough. The T-62A decides to push, and that's fine. I'll trade 324 HP for the ability to get on top of the hill, because this allows me so much freedom, especially if the enemy team thinks it's fun to try and push up kind of where our 140 is. You can see him holding here, just waiting for the artillery to hopefully leave me alone. That was an artillery shot. We get a nice round in on the 62A, which is beautiful. I push here, arguably a little too far, but I get a nice pen right into his upper plate. 2 seconds, 1 second, we have another round ready. We send it in. Perfect. And this is where the game really starts turning around. Or not turning around, but kind of picking up. This E100 committing is so juicy. The ability for him to just throw a game away and let me farm is really nice. So now we're just barely 2 minutes into the game and we're pulling already 2300 damage. The 430 decides, hey, 2 tanks died here, I want to be one of them. He goes, we get a nice round in as well. And now I'm looking to get some shots. I try to go for a track and damage, but I find the track and damage on the 50 TP can be a little troll. I wait there, arguably too long. I probably should have taken a hit for that, but because this tank has such a short reload with such comfortable alpha, I feel fine repoking that immediately. because I know the 50 TP has like a 10-second reload or something. But now we push in. I see the FVs back there behind the rock. I get a nice shot into the lower plate of the M103. I will not screw up on this M103 like I did in the 5A one. But let's push right through. Of course, the biggest threat now is the 4005 in front of me. I'm not too worried about the Waffenträger, the artillery, or the EBR. This whole game was changed by the fact the artillery didn't shoot me. You can see here, I use my third-person camera to kind of get an eye on what the FV is looking at. And so for context, I was playing on stream a little while ago before this game was played, and I tried to sidescrape against an FE 4005, and I got murdered. So in this instance, I decide I've learned from my mistakes, and I will not poke that again. I load a nice HE round. Too bad we don't get a high damage roll. I believe this is over 500. Yeah, 510 HE damage. We roll for 464. Not too terrible, but not too amazing. Now, the thing is that I love about this tank, I'm going to pause this game here just for a second, is the enemy team is pretty much dead. There's 8,800 HP left that we know about. That doesn't include the VK4502B, and that doesn't include the EBR. However, we are going to post a pretty healthy result, even though this game is nearing the end. I got some nice farm there. I'm using this bush as extra concealment. However, I think the Conway is going to spot me in just a second because I keep pushing. I should have probably sat back, but I figured I have the HP, I want to use it. We're already so late into the game, this is clearly going to be a win, and I want to utilize my HP. I got another round in there on the Waffenträger, which is just beautiful. Excuse me, I push in here for a shot on the 261, which is textbook. We're up to 6,000 damage. I'm looking for the 212A. He's too far back. We're going to push right in this Conway. I don't really want to fire at the Waffenträger, which is nice that he's dead, because it would just waste my reload. You'll see here I'm aiming at the Conway, but I want the Conk. And I figure he's been lit for so long that I'm not going to bother shooting at the Conqueror. It is what it is. We're up to 7,000 damage now, 7,300 specifically, and I figure, okay, this is the play. I have 2 HE rounds left. I had a guy named Ross on stream for the last 2 days. I had this tank asking me to post an 8,000 damage game, and I'm screaming for one on stream right now. I'm so close. I'm begging for the Jagdpanzer. Please, please don't do it. Let me farm. I'm begging you. I nearly screwed that shot up, but alas, we managed to post 8415 damage just before we also get the last shot and post 8682. This was all around an awesome game and kind of showcases, in my opinion, why I think this tank is so freaking good. You have kind of a blend between the Leopard and the STB. And what I mean by that, I'll try and be a little more clear, is you have the brawling potential of an STB with the mobility and kind of, gosh, do I say it? The gun handling of a Leopard. It's not as good. I'm not going to pretend that it's, you know, better than the Leopard 1 or as good, but it feels better than it should, if that makes any sense. Anyway, regardless, I love this vehicle. I don't know why so many people hate it at this point. I'm hoping it'll turn around, but maybe not. The more people hate it, the easier this will be to 3-mark. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more games like this, definitely check out my Twitch stream. I'm going to link it in the description below the video. But that'll be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.